Riding in Cobblemon 1.7 is incredible, but it's also kind of hard. Fly up here. Ooh. Luckily, the Cobblemon developers have added an item called Aprijuice, and this can be used to increase the ride stats of your Pokemon, making them easier to handle and a lot more powerful. So in today's video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know about Aprijuice so you can make the most of this incredible new feature. And if you find this video helpful, make sure to subscribe for more Cobblemon 1.7 content. Aprijuice is actually pretty simple to make. First thing first, you'll need a campfire pot. To craft these, you just need 5 copper ingots, 2 apricorns of any color, and 1 piece of glass. Then you need to put this on a campfire. And then Aprijuice is actually very cheap. All you need is 1 apricorn, 1 energy root, and 1 pep-up flower. All of these can be easily farmed. Pep-up flowers come from revival herbs. Apricorns, I have several apricorn farm tutorials on my channel that you can check out. And energy roots you can find in caves and farm them pretty easily. Now, base Aprijuice is not super great. Each color does something different. So for example, red Aprijuice gives you +2 acceleration, but it gives you -1 stamina. And you can even tell here it says quality low, meaning there's a lot better stuff you can do. Each of the base ones are similar, just with different stats. So pink, you go +2 speed, -1 acceleration. And each of these will give you +2 in one stat and -1 in another, besides black Aprijuice, which just doesn't do anything. So theoretically, if you didn't want to go any fancier, you could just stack up the ones of these that you want and use them, but there's much more efficient methods. And that's through seasoning. When you're cooking anything, you can season them with different berries or other items up here. For Aprijuice, it's just berries. And we'll start off simple here with an orange berry, which is one of the simplest ones. You can see one orange berry actually doesn't even make any change to yellow. If we add a second orange berry, you can see a little leaf pops up here, and it's now tasty yellow Aprijuice. This is medium quality, gives you +1 acceleration, +1 jump, and +3 stamina. And if you switch to a different color, you're going to see that it's a little bit different. So this is something that's definitely going to take a lot of experimentation. There's not a lot of clear documentation out right now about the exact combos, but I'm going to go over here with you what I think are some of the best ones. And then if anybody else has found some great combos, make sure to comment them down below for everyone. With the update being so new, the more everyone can share knowledge, the more we can enjoy this game. And then if you add a third orange berry, it also doesn't change it at all. That's because orange berries are pretty common berries. What if we use a better berry like a starf berry? You add in 1 starf berry, it already makes a change, which the orange berry didn't. Brings it up to a tasty pink Aprijuice. If you add a second one, we get delicious pink Aprijuice, which this is a high quality one. You can see here that this Aprijuice is actually very effective. You get +4 stamina, +1 jump, +6 speed, +1 skill, and +3 acceleration. And now, depending on the stats you want, again, you can switch color. So delicious green Aprijuice is going to have a little bit of a different combination here. Red here, again, different combination. Red gives you a lot of acceleration. Now, white is not as effective here. White is going to actually have a couple of these go down. But then blue again, very effective. And blue seems to be overall fairly consistent there. And you'll see some of these go down to tasty Aprijuice. So the white is tasty, while blue here is delicious. And so is yellow. And there may be some correlation here between colors. You see with yellow, the yellow stat, which is stamina, gets the highest boost, but with green, jump doesn't get the highest boost. So I don't think it's like a 1-for-1 exact correlation, but there may be something there. Hasn't totally been tested yet. You can see with red, acceleration is higher, but for pink, the pink stat of speed does go up. So there may be something there, definitely not confirmed, so don't take my word on that until we get more testing. But then if you add a third berry here, which if you're farming berries, it's not hard at all to add a third, you can see that things go up even higher. So even though it was already a delicious pink Aprijuice, I believe when we just had 2 starf berries, you'll see it was +6 speed, and then 3 acceleration, 1 skill, 1 jump, 1 stamina. But when you add the third, even though it's still just a delicious Aprijuice, you get +7 speed here, +4 acceleration, 1 in skill and jump again, and 5 in stamina. And then you can go through and look at the other colors here, and you'll see that there's similar boosts here. So acceleration is now +7, and you'll see here that white, however, is still just tasty Aprijuice. And so it seems that certain colors prefer certain berries. And now you can mix and match berries. For example, I put 3 different kinds here. But it seems to me that it's actually more effective when you don't do that. You can tell here as we have these 3 different kinds of berries, most of these are much lower than when we just had 3 of the same berry. That seems to be more effective. I highly recommend just playing around with what berries seem to be the best for you. Starf berry seems to be pretty good. Key berry seems to be pretty good. Moringa berry seems to be pretty good. I think it's a lot of the more rare berries that have to be breeded for or mutated for seem to do really well. And now I'm just determined to find one that improves white Aprijuice, because that one's being a stickler. Salac berry is one that increases speed IVs when it's used with bait. And it looks like when it's with the pink Aprijuice, which is already a speed one, it's still just a +7. So it doesn't seem like that has much of an effect. And it actually lowers acceleration, which didn't happen for Starfberries. So it seems like Starfberry is one that you are really going to want to farm in Cobblemon 1.7. If you've seen my video about Pokesnacks, you'll know that berry is really helpful for getting shiny Pokemon. And shameless plug, if you haven't watched that video, you should definitely watch it because that's one of the best new features. And it's also really helpful for making quality Aprijuice as well. Well, I've now experimented with probably 15 to 20 different berries, and I cannot find one that makes white much better. And I'm not sure, but maybe that's on purpose. I know a lot of people have talked about that if your Pokemon is too fast, they can be kind of hard to control, or if it accelerates too much. I think maybe white Aprijuice is an opportunity that you can lower certain stats if you want. If you want it to accelerate less, you can use that. If you want to lower speed, Ridable Berry works, and this also increases stamina. So this might be actually a really good option to make it a little bit easier to handle, but also lasts longer. Berry is also a great option. This lowers all the stats but jump. Personally, I would probably prefer using Ridable Berries because I like the idea of stamina being higher so you can use it for longer. But this idea of lowering speed is awesome, although lowering skill is not as helpful. And Berry actually might be the best. This one lowers all your stats but skill, and then you can use this, make it so your Pokemon's easier to handle, but they're not as fast, which could be really nice if they're too fast for you. Or you can just use straight up white Aprijuice, just lowers everything if you want to lower certain stats. And you can also get more targeted, whereas, pink Aprijuice raises speed, subtracts acceleration. We talked about all those at the beginning. You can target some stats specifically. I love how the developers have given us this opportunity that we can easily adjust our Pokemon stats to make the perfect mount for ourselves. And then to show you how this works, once you've decided the combo you want, you put the lid on the pot. It'll take a few seconds here. And then you can click on your Aprijuice. And then you just go to your Pokemon and you just right click. And you can see here when you go to stats, pressing the M key, stats, you can click on ride. And these are the stats here. So this is where we're currently at. You can see 64 acceleration, 62 speed. And then if I right click him again, you can see speed goes up to 69, acceleration 68. And it also gives you a percentage here. You can see what their max would be. So I can just feed him a bunch of these. And now if I wasn't in creative, this would deplete and I'd have to keep making them. But again, all of these materials are easily farmable, so it's really not a big deal. You can create automatic farms for these super easily, or semi-auto farms that are not that difficult to make either. And you can use this to easily max out their stats. You can see now his speed is 100%, which I'm a little scared to try because I'm still not super great at riding. But let's see what happens if I fly up here. Whoop. And that is the circumstance where you might want to have handling a little higher or speed a little lower, because this is a little hard to use. But if you're trying to travel long distances, this works great. If you follow these tips, you should be able to create the perfect riding Pokemon for yourself. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out the Cobblemon Survival Guide for more 1.7 content. Thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.